Okay, I want to welcome everybody here this evening. I will call this special city council meeting to order. It is 5:30. I will, for the record, state that we have Mr. Cook, Mr. Robinson, Mr. Haschke, and Mr. Huckabee joining us via video teleconference this evening. The mayor is actually traveling. He indicated to me that if he gets to his destination and the meeting's still ongoing, he may also try to join us by Skype. But until that happens, we will go ahead and proceed. We have several items on the agenda for tonight. The first one is to consider the award of GLO, General Land Office contract for stormwater work. And Mr. Williams, are you going to present the staff report for that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank
Am I
you.
the only one that can't hear anything?
Mr. Cook, can you hear me?
No sound.
There we go, sorry about that.
How about now?
Hey, great.
Okay, we're on. Very good. Technology. Mayor Pro Tem, Council, thank you. Thank you for being here this evening. The GLO project was applied for and awarded last year, and the city received the maximum amount of $2 million, which include a 1% match of $20,000. Last week, the city received and opened bids for the project. There were 3 bidders. TTG out of Gatesville was identified as the low bidder. We have received confirmation and approval from KSA, the engineer of record, for their recommendation of TTG. The project is in the Groesbeck area neighborhood, and it is 4 drainage projects specifically. The project would primarily be based upon work in Swan Street from Alexander to Lillian, and so it would take care of that standing water that you have in Lillian every time that it rains. What we would do is ask for the council to make a motion to award the contract to TTG in the amount of $1,706,264 for this project, contingent upon approval by the GLO, the same way that the lift station was contingent upon approval by the Texas Water Development Board. I'm glad to answer questions.
Any questions for Mr. Williams?
In the staff report, it says that there's an additional $16,264 to award the base bid that will be required.
Yes, sir.
Am I reading that correctly?
Yes, sir, you are. The bids came in over what that total budget was. So out of the $2 million, approximately 10% of that went to design. That was about $200,000, and 5% of that went to, I'm sorry, not 5%. Yeah, 5% went to the grant management. That's all of the flaming hoops, so to speak, that GLO requires. So what we had left was approximately $1.69 million in construction funds. The low bid came in at 1.7, just over 1.7.
Okay.
Now
All right, thank
that $16,000 would come out of the operational budget, so it would not affect any of the capital projects in stormwater.
Okay.
Any other questions for Mr. Williams? Due to the nature of this requires specific language to enter into a motion for this item, and as the chair of the Public Works Committee, I would ask if Mr. Nix has that language available.
I do, sir. I would make the motion to award the contract to TTG Utilities in the amount of $1,706,264 for the Groesbeck Neighborhood Drainage System Improvements Project, contingent upon GLO approval.
Second.
Okay, I've got a motion on the floor by Mr. Nix, a second by Mr. Thurman. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, we'll proceed to the vote. All of those in favor of this item signify by saying aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. This passes unanimously, and we will move forward. And I just would make the comment that thank you, sir, for going out, reaching out, and finding grant money like this. It's
Yes, sir.
fantastic. Next item on the agenda is consider approval of a special election for November 3rd. And Mr. Barnes, you want to tackle that, or?
As Stacy's making her way to the podium,
Oh, I was just gonna see it over here, but sure, we'll go for it.
we have folks on Facebook that probably want to hear it.
So Ms. King will address this issue for us.
So on March 25th, the council voted unanimously to postpone the May special election, which was to put before the voters a 2% tax on hotel rooms to fund a sports venue project. And so this is just ordering the election for November.
Any questions for Stacy on this item? If not, I would listen to the will of the council.
Mr. Mayor Pro Tem, I would make the motion that we order the special election for November 3rd, 2020 for the purpose of considering a ballot proposition authorizing the city to impose a 2% tax on hotel rooms, an additional 2%.
That you, Justin, with the second?
Yes, sir.
All right, so there's a motion on the floor by Mr. Nix, seconded by Mr. Haschke to go ahead and order the special election on November 3rd. Any further discussion on this item? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed, same sign. This motion passes. Thank you all. Last item on the agenda tonight is to consider approval of expansion of the city's personal service business grant program to downtown locally owned businesses. Mr. Barnes, you going to make that?
Yes, sir, Mr. Mayor, Mayor Pro Tem, members of the council. Several months ago, or several weeks ago, we established a loan/grant program for 101 businesses, or what we called 101 businesses. At that time, we were allocated the funds to do 26 loans of $2,500, or a maximum of $2,500, and if the businesses were open an additional 90 days, those loans would be forgiven. Of the 26, 10 loans have been given for a total of $25,000, leaving approximately $40,000 in the program. It's been several weeks since CETA has gotten additional applications for it. Saturday before last, I spent some time downtown speaking with downtown owners, and our downtown retail businesses are hurting badly. One owner told me that they had taken a part-time job in order to keep their business open, a part-time job with somebody else. Another business owner told me that $2,500 could actually possibly make the difference in making that business survive the COVID and not surviving. What I have suggested today is that we authorize the loan program to be used toward downtown retail businesses, and by downtown, what we're defining as the historic downtown district. I think these loans would help our downtown businesses make it over the hump, and respectfully request the council to consider this. There's also, in theory, another pot of money. The restaurant vouchers, we sent 5,461 of those out, had 3,800 of them turned in for a 55% participation rate for $75,200. If the downtown spurs, if this spurs development in downtown or applications from downtown, we were authorized to spend up to $150,000 on the restaurants, and we could ask you at a later date to move those funds as well. So respectfully request that you expand the loan grant program to include retail businesses, locally owned retail businesses in the downtown, historic downtown area.
Anybody have questions on this one?
Is there still the possibility of us even recouping some of this through the federal grants program?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay.
As a matter of fact, there is a very slim possibility, but it is a possibility that it could even be considered as a public health issue.
Okay. Hey, real quick, guys, I think legally I probably have to abstain to vote on this. I don't know if that's having a fifth vote on file. I'm pretty certain mine still would be threshold and spending.
Did everybody understand that?
I did not.
He was saying he
He's
felt like he probably needs to abstain.
Or abstain? Okay.
Okay.
So that was Brady Pendleton asking to abstain from this item. Any other questions for Alan on this one?
I have a question.
Yes, sir.
Why are we focused solely on the downtown sector? I'm sure if we reached out to multiple businesses across the community, we would find that it's becoming universal that folks aren't doing well with current economic situation.
Yes, sir. We have a very limited pool of money, approximately $40,000, and I thought that was a good place to start this type program. It could be expanded later, or you could vote to expand it tonight to any locally owned retail business.
I would be more in favor of that.
Alan, is there anything preventing the downtown businesses from applying for the grant as it stands today?
Yes, sir. The grant was established for the one-on-one businesses such as barbershops, beauty parlors,
Okay.
things like that.
So the point, or the main change would be to remove the restriction from the beauty shops and the like. Is that correct?
I think the answer to your question is yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Obviously, if we wanted to focus in the traffic area, then we could add an additional restriction, but opening up to additional retail businesses, then we can focus on a geographic area or not.
I didn't, was that a question or a comment?
Comment.
Oh, okay.
So Justin, if I understand you, you're saying just make the expansion on your suggestion would be to make the expansion on the current grant to include retail businesses without having a geographic specific tie-in? Is that what you're asking for?
No, well, I guess kind of parlaying off of Nick a little bit, I'm not sure that I'm prepared to make a motion or a suggestion. Just trying to get clarity on what's happening exactly as it relates to the initial ordinance or release of funds compared to what we're considering tonight.
Mr. Barnes, can you just kind of briefly recap what that program entails, the application process, how it becomes a grant, and so on?
Yes, sir. The program was to help out the one-on-one businesses that were forced to be closed through no fault of their own during the early stages of COVID-19. The program was established to have $2,500 grants, up to 26 of them, which is $65,000, for those one-on-one businesses with a requirement that they remain in business for 90 days after they reopen. I think part of the problem with this program is right after we initiated it, the governor opened those businesses back up. So the loan, it works. It starts out as a loan for $2,500, and then after 90 days, we forgive the loan. The applications are processed through CETA. It is an application process that is a relatively quick process. And we're working with CETA that if they turn in the checks by Tuesday, they're written by Friday. I hope that answered the questions.
So how many did you say are left?
16. It's about 40,000.
I would like to just, kind of second what Nick's saying. Part of the fact of it is it's a pass-through. If we're getting this money back from the federal government, let's go get some of these people's money back and take into the federal government over time. And let's help them locally where we can, since we've got the opportunity to do that. That makes sense. And, yes, we definitely can walk around downtown and do it, but I know that there's businesses probably right outside of the downtown, or, in the outskirts that have been impacted by this, that could definitely use the shot and horn to help pass through. There's so much focus right at the beginning of this getting people set, but now as stimulus checks and all that are running out, I do worry about what the next few months look like. So I would be in favor of opening this up, especially since we know we can be reimbursed for this, or we believe we can.
Alan,
Sir.
are there restrictions with regard to size of business or number of employees in your line of thinking?
I think we ought to focus on small, locally owned businesses. I don't know how to define that. Do we want Slim Pickens with 3 or 4 employees? Is that a small business? Is the Sonic with, I don't know how many part-time employees, are they a small business? That's one of the reasons why I geographically targeted my suggestion, because we do know that the businesses in the downtown area, the retail businesses particularly, are locally owned and they are small businesses.
Is Jeff on the call tonight?
He is not.
Did he? Okay.
But using Sonic as an example, they are locally owned. So, that's, I think that, in my viewpoint, that they're just as important as anybody else. Not saying that they've probably done really well with the restaurant closures and stuff, but I'm saying that, I hate to be so localized that we don't get any participation like we already have.
If I could make a suggestion, Jason came up with a good suggestion. If you see an advantage of passing it as presented tonight, we have several meetings coming up in the next few weeks that we could come up with a definition of additional businesses that could, in fact, be considered small businesses, and we could do away with the geographic restrictions at that time.
I'd rather table it then and bring it back in form.
Yes, sir. If that's the will of the council.
You making that as a motion, sir?
There's not a motion on the table, so you don't have to table it, you can reschedule it.
You can send it back to us.
So is it my understanding that the will of the council at this point is to simply send this back, refer this back to staff for additional information and clarification? Is that what everybody is
Yes, sir.
comfortable with?
I would say I don't think there's any question as to whether or not we want to provide it to downtown.
Right. It's just,
So I don't know why we would need to delay that. So I will go ahead and make the motion that we approve expansion of the city's personal services business loan grant program to include locally owned downtown businesses. And I would like for us to, as soon as possible, to explore expanding that.
so there is motion on the floor. Is there a second for it? That motion is going to die for a lack of a second, so I'm assuming then we're okay with referring this back to staff for
Yeah.
additional information?
Can you mind me, I think the biggest concern at this point would be defining locally owned small business. And so providing clarity as relates to that, is crucial and paramount.
All right, any other comments?
And where I do agree with Ricky, I would like to see this back in front of us as soon as possible. I mean, because it's, I agree with, I 100% agree with the thought process of Ricky there, but I feel like we've got to, I just don't want to be so hyper-focused that we're not helping everybody that we need to, so.
Okay.
If I could, I'd second that too, as far as what Brandon just said. I believe too that we need to move forward, and we need to move forward fairly fast. Alan, if you could bring this back to the council at the very next meeting, it would be fantastic.
We'll do our best, sir.
And that way we could, let's make a decision and let's get it out there, and hopefully have the number of businesses that we can.
Okay, there are no other items on the agenda for this evening, so we will stand adjourned at 5:51.